And if I can use my access to help advocate for the care of others and help others get access to solutions, information, etc., that's going to change their life for the better, change their experiences for the better, make their matrescence journey, their transition into parenthood a lot easier, that's exactly what I want to do. Hey, friends, welcome back to the Millennial Mama Memo podcast, a weekly memo from your favorite Millennial Mama therapist. I'm Lauren, a late diagnosed ADHDer, mom of two, licensed therapist, and founder of Millennial Mama Therapy. I built the Millennial Mama universe for moms just like me who are figuring out who they are on the other side of becoming a mom. I work with moms all throughout California, and I also host 2 free virtual support groups for moms everywhere. If you're new here, hi, I'm so glad that you found me. And if you're a regular, welcome back. Let's get into it. You guys, before we start diving into my normal segments this week, I wanted to share an exciting podcast update, and that is that I now have an editor. Everyone say hello to Adrienne. She actually edited episode 18 for me last week, but this is the first episode that I'm recording after we started working together. So I just wanted to give her a shout out. Welcome to the Millennial Mama universe, Adrienne, and thank you so much for helping the podcast be the best that it possibly can be. I also just want to be very transparent with you guys and my audience about where I am getting help and what things I'm doing solo and what things I am not doing solo, because I just feel like in marketing, content creator world, things like that, I don't know, there's this belief that we have to do it all ourselves, or some people are presenting that they are doing it all themselves and they're not actually talking about the very real elements of help and systemic supports that they have in place. And I never want to be like that. So I try to be very, very honest that, I have full-time childcare, and now I have childcare for my podcast, AKA an editor. So welcome, Adrienne. So glad that you were here. All right, diving into the Millennial Mama mix, which is a little bit of everything on my radar as a millennial mom in person. This week, I wanted to continue walking you guys through my match framework. And again, that is the 5 lenses that I bring to all of the work that I do. MATCH is an acronym, and it stands for Mom, Advocate, Therapist, Connector, and Human. A couple of weeks ago, we went over the mom piece. I shared a little bit about my journey of becoming a mom and how Millennial Mama Therapy would not be what it is without the fact that I became a mom. And so today we're going to talk about A, which stands for advocate. Part of why advocacy is really important to me is because for a lot of my life, I was not aware of systemic inequities and systemic failures that people of color face in the United States as well as throughout the world. A little bit of a lore drop here. I was raised evangelical and my parents were missionaries, and I lived in Europe for much of my childhood. We moved there in June of 2000. I was raised around a lot of people who just looked like me. It's so interesting now as an adult to look back and go, wow, I was an immigrant, but we didn't call it that. We called it being missionaries. We called it living overseas. We called it being an expat, but we didn't call it being an immigrant, even though that's what it was. We literally had to go through, getting our documentation and things in place to allow us to stay in the country and all of that. That's immigration, but that's not what it was called. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I was like, why do we call it immigration when people are coming to the States and when they're not white? But how come me, as a white kid moving to Europe, that wasn't called immigration? Interesting. So there's a lot of things that I just did not understand or didn't have challenged until I got older. My understanding of the lived experience of Black folks in America was very inaccurate until I came back to the States for college and began to learn a lot more about internalized white supremacy, intersectionality, and began to work on deconstructing religious beliefs that I had been raised in and had my whole life. And all of this just began the process of dismantling so much of my worldview, how I view relationships between people, how I view systemic processes that have been in place, these systems that have been put in place to prevent access for folks. And so as I have continued this process of religious and spiritual deconstruction, as well as dismantling and deconstructing internalized white supremacy, as well as working in mental health and trying to get access for folks to the care that they need, advocacy has become very, very important to me. I want to be part of the solutions and the change that make a difference for folks throughout my local area, throughout my city, my state, and hopefully the country and the world. I want to use my privilege, my education, the access that I have to services and information, the access that I have to providers. I want to use that for good for others. So, the way that I do that is by being an advocate for my clients, my family, and my friends. That's part of the reason why Matchmaker Hours exist, because I have had so many instances of being at a playground, striking up a conversation with another mom, hearing her talk about some challenge she's going through, and you going, hey, you know what? I actually know a lactation consultant who could help you. She's my office mate. She's my friend. We literally last night were texting back and forth about how our kiddos are doing bloody blah, blah, blah. Like I have all of these people living in my phone as my friends. And if I can use my access to help advocate for the care of others and help others get access to solutions, information, etc., that's going to change their life for the better, change their experiences for the better, make their matrescence journey, their transition into parenthood a lot easier. That's exactly what I want to do. All that is to say, that is why advocacy is so, so important to me. That is why it is in my match framework. And it's something that I bring every day with me when I work with clients. Next up is the favorites folder, which is good stuff I can't stop talking about that you should know about. And today I want to tell you guys about press on nails, specifically the Glamnetic brand. I have not gotten my nails done in years at this point. And for those of you who don't know, I'm a chronic nail biter. It's not something I'm particularly proud of. As an adult, I understand now that it is a ADHD stim. It's something that I've tried to work with and work on, and I've gotten better and had relapses and all the things. So, one, just want to reduce shame if you are also a nail biter. And then two, share with you that using Glamnetic press-ons has been incredibly helpful for me because they are non-damaging. As long as you're careful about how you're applying them and taking care of your nails and things like that. They are super cute. They're really long lasting. And what I love is as soon as they start coming off, I can reapply the set myself. I don't have to make another appointment. I don't have to try to find time to get into the nail salon. I don't have to sit there for 2 hours, not able to use my hands. I love it. So I'm currently wearing the Salty Waves set, which is a super fun kind of mermaidy under the sea sort of vibe. But my go-to nail sets are Gold Digger, Creamer, Mermaid's Tail, and Hot Pink. I love that they come in a variety of shapes and sizes. So for most people, you should be able to find a set that fits your nails. And I will include in the show notes the links to the products that I use. I use a cuticle remover. I use a nail prep dehydrator. And then I also love using a semi-solid nail glue. And I will, like I said, I'll put all of those down in the show notes. And when I sit down, take my time, prep my nails properly, get the nails on, you guys, they last anywhere from 10 to 14 days. I know some women out there can make it last even longer, but I'm a mom. I'm constantly using my hands, constantly washing my hands, all of that. And guys, these just last. It's awesome. I really, really love them. Also, if you have tried press-ons before and have not liked them, give these a shot. They are so sturdy. And also, one of the big game-changing pieces is using a semi-solid nail glue. It comes out like a thicker gel. It's still spreadable, but it's not going to like spill everywhere and suddenly you have just like your hands in the entire bathroom covered in glue. It is such a game changer. And again, the links for all of those things are going to be down in the show notes. All right, next up, we've got Pink Couch Post-its, which are updates, hot takes, and things worth knowing from the Millennial Mama universe. And today I wanted to share my availability for the rest of the year. Part of why I love these ART intensives is I am able to better predict out what my availability is and share that with you guys. So for all of these slots, what I want you to have in mind is that these are the starting spots. So for example, I have 2 spots left in July, meaning I have 2 more spots available for someone to start an ART intensive in July. Particularly if you're starting in mid to late July, you're going to be finishing that in August. So bear that in mind as I read these out, okay? So I have 2 spots left in July. I have 4 slots in August. I have 4 slots in September, 4 slots in October, 0 in November. Again, that is 0 starting slots in November. So I will have people wrapping up their ART intensives in November, but I won't be starting anyone new that month. And I have 2 starting slots in December for a total of 14 starting spots left in 2026. I will keep sharing my updated availability periodically here on the podcast, as well as social media and my website. So keep an eye out. And if you are interested in starting an ART intensive, definitely get your consultation call booked. All right. And that is a good segue into one last thing, which is how you can join the Millennial Mama universe. The first way that you can do that is by subscribing to In Case You Missed the Memo, which is my weekly newsletter, and the Millennial Mama Memo podcast if you're not already subscribed. You can also join one of my free virtual support groups. They are all non-clinical. I have Mama Mess Hall that meets once a week, and the Break Room, which is for spaceholder moms, and that one is shifting to meeting monthly. So our next meeting is going to be on August 14th. You could also book a Matchmaker Hour, which is a non-clinical call to get you connected with local support and resources. My referral network is strongest here in the Sacramento area and in California, but I'm always expanding my network. So even if you're out of state, I got you. Now, if you are in California and you're ready to do something about all the things you've been carrying, it's time for an ART intensive. These are 4 appointments over 4 to 6 weeks with a defined goal and treatment endpoint. I have 2 more starting slots available in July. So go ahead and get your consultation call booked today. I cannot wait to meet you, and I cannot wait to work with you. All right, friends, that's your Millennial Mama memo for the week. Head to the link in my bio to subscribe to my newsletter in case you missed the memo so you never miss a memo, and I'll see you next week.